Welcome back. I mentioned to you that a dictionary's values can hold any sort of data type. But what about the keys? Up until now, I've only used strings to denote a key. But could I do something like this? Could I do 1, 2, 3 like this? Well, let's have a look. Let's give it a try. If I do 1, 2, 3 and I click run, I get 1, 2, 3. Awesome, that works. What about true? If I have a key true and I click run, will that work? Yep, it looks like it works. What about a list? What if I have a list of, let's say, just 100? Would that work? If I click run, nope, it doesn't work. It says unhashable type list. What does that mean? Dictionary keys need to have a special property. A key needs to be immutable. That is, a key cannot change. And numbers, booleans, this is a value that cannot change. A string, if you remember, is a value that cannot change. It's immutable. But a list, if you remember, can be changed, right? On a list, I can reassign, let's say, the index of 0 to something else, right? So because of that, a dictionary says, hey, my keys, because I'm storing them in memory and I don't want to lose them, it has to be something that isn't going to change on me. Maybe a programmer comes in and by mistake changes this array of 100 to have an index of something else. Well, dictionary doesn't really want that because it doesn't want to lose this value. So a dictionary key always has to be immutable. And as we learn a few other things like a tuple that we'll see in upcoming videos, you can use those as keys as well. However, most of the time, 99% of the time, a key for a dictionary is usually something descriptive like a string. Okay, but what about this? What if we have another string, 1, 2, 3? And let's just remove this for now. What happens when I search for 1, 2, 3, the string? If I click run, I get hello. A key in a dictionary has to be unique because there can only be one key, because that key is going to represent a bookshelf in that memory space. So anytime I do the same key and maybe add a value, it's going to overwrite. So this no longer exists. A key has to be unique, and it's something that can only exist, well, just once. Otherwise, we overwrite it, which is why you see hello here. We've lost the array 1, 2, 3. Let's explore this idea a little bit more in the next video. Welcome back. Now, if you remember, let's have something different here. So we have unique keys. If you remember, we have to have unique keys. So let's say this is greet, and this is let's say a basket. And we can access basket like this. If I click run, I get 1, 2, 3. But what if we don't know what this dictionary is? Maybe a dictionary is something, well, somewhere else where we can't see. But we want to know if this, let's call this user, if this user has maybe property like age. So do they have this age key? Well, if I click run, I get an error. Key error. Age. Age doesn't exist. But remember, errors in our programs, and this is something we'll cover later on, are not good. They're going to stop the program as soon as the Python interpreters enters an error. It's going to kick out of the program and say, hey, you have an error, and it's going to completely ignore what's underneath it. Here we don't have anything, but in a real life program, we want to avoid these errors because it stops execution. So another good way to access a key and to see if it even exists is to use .get. And guess what .get is? Did you guess a method? Well, there you go. .get is a method on the object or the dictionary in Python. So here, if we do get age and do run, I get none. So my program doesn't error. It just says, hey, there is nothing there. It's an absence of value. And we've learned what none means by now. So that's a really nice way to avoid those errors. By the way, if, let's say, there's no age in the user, but you want to have a default value, you can do something like this. So you add a comma, and then here you say whatever you want as the default value. So let's figure that out. If I click run, I get 55. Because now I'm saying, hey, grab the age from the user dictionary. If age doesn't exist on the user dictionary, use 55. So now we have 55. But if the user already has age, and I click run, I get 20. So this is, hey, in case age doesn't exist, add a default value. That's really, really nice. Now, I'm going to show you another way to create a dictionary, which is not very common. Most of the time, you want to use this syntax. But just so you're aware of it, here's another way. Let's say we have a new user, so user 2. I can create here a dictionary by saying dict, which again is a built-in function. And in here, look at that. It shows me, hey, this is going to create a new empty dictionary, and we can create different values, key value pairs. And we simply say, I want the key to equal the value. So in my case, let's just say that I want the name to equal John John. If I now print out user 2, oh, before I click run, I see that I have a red underline. And by the way, if you see here PyFlakes, that's something called linting, something we'll talk about when we talk about developer environments. We're using this linter that tells you whenever you make errors in Python, and it says keywords can be an expression. That just means that, hey, the keyword needs to be, well, just a variable that we create. So if I click run here, look at that. I have name John John. So we've created a user with this key value pair. Now, like I said, this way of creating dictionaries is not very common. Most of the time, you'll do something like this, but at least now you know that this is why this built-in function exists. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.